Most people underestimate the quiet power of their own breath. But here's the secret. When you talk to your breath, it listens. Why does this matter? Because your breath is the bridge between body and mind, the hidden key to calming pain, dissolving stress, and unlocking self-healing. The how is simple. By learning to guide your breath, you command your inner energy. In this video, you will learn how to harness this secret power for true inner healing. Within you, at this very moment, flows a river of life that has been waiting throughout your entire existence for you to recognize its true nature, to speak to it with conscious authority, to command it with the same certainty you would use to direct your own hand or turn your own head. And this river is your breath, not merely the mechanical process of air moving in and out of your lungs, but a living, intelligent force that responds to your words, obeys your commands, and transforms according to your spoken intentions with a precision and reliability that exceeds any medicine ever discovered by human science. This breath is not simply oxygen and carbon dioxide exchanging places in your respiratory system, but rather a dynamic, conscious energy that permeates every fiber of your being, every molecule of your existence, every quantum of your physical and spiritual reality, carrying within its rhythmic flow the very essence of creation itself. The breath that moves through you 25,000 times each day carries within itself the same creative power that spoke the universe into existence. The same life force that animates every living creature on Earth, from the tiniest microorganism to the mightiest whale, from the humblest blade of grass to the most magnificent redwood tree. The same divine intelligence that orchestrates the healing of wounds without your conscious intervention, the mending of bones without your deliberate effort, the regeneration of cells without your mental participation, and the restoration of organs without any conscious effort on your part. This intelligence operates through your breath with a wisdom that transcends human understanding, a precision that surpasses the most advanced technology, and a reliability that exceeds the most carefully engineered systems ever created by human hands. Yet this same intelligence, this same creative force, this same healing power stands ready to multiply its healing work 1,000-fold when you learn the forgotten language of breath mastery, when you discover how to speak to your breath as the ancient masters spoke to theirs, when you realize that every inhalation and exhalation offers you an opportunity to issue healing commands that will be carried out with mathematical precision throughout every system of your body. The yogis of India knew this secret. The Taoist masters of China understood this principle. The shamans of indigenous cultures worldwide practiced this art, and the mystics of every tradition have recognized that breath is the bridge between the physical and the spiritual, between the human and the divine, between what is and what can be. Consider the profound truth that your breath operates automatically, without your conscious direction, maintaining the delicate balance of gases in your bloodstream, regulating your heart rate, influencing your nervous system, and supporting every function of your body with unwavering dedication and perfect timing. Yet this same breath that serves you so faithfully in its automatic function possesses an even greater capacity when you choose to work with it consciously, when you recognize it as a partner rather than merely a biological process, when you understand that it can be directed, instructed, and commanded to perform specific healing work throughout your entire being. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had suffered for years from a condition that seemed to grow worse, despite every medical treatment she had tried, every specialist she had consulted, every medication she had taken, every therapy she had attempted, every alternative approach she had explored, until the day she learned that her breath was not merely something that happened to her, but something that could be directed by her, commanded by her, instructed by her to carry out specific healing work within her body. This revelation came to her not through complex medical texts or sophisticated scientific studies, but through the simple recognition that her breath was alive, intelligent, and responsive to her conscious direction. She began each morning by placing her hands upon her heart and speaking directly to her breath with the authority of one who knows that words create worlds, that intention shapes reality, that consciousness directs energy, saying with complete conviction and unwavering faith, "Breath, I command you to carry perfect healing to every cell of my body. I direct you to restore every organ to its natural state of perfect function. I instruct you to dissolve every pattern of illness and replace it with patterns of radiant health. I order you to circulate through every system of my being with the power to heal, the wisdom to restore, and the love to renew." She spoke these words not as desperate pleas or hopeful wishes, but as authoritative commands given with the certainty that they would be obeyed, with the confidence that they would be fulfilled, with the knowledge that her breath was eagerly awaiting such direction. Within days of beginning this practice, she noticed changes in her energy levels that surprised her physicians, subtle shifts in her vitality that her family observed, improvements in her sleep patterns that she had not experienced in years, and a general sense of renewal that seemed to emanate from the very core of her being. Within weeks, she observed improvements in her symptoms that her doctors found remarkable, changes in her test results that defied their expectations, and a reversal of degenerative processes that medical science had told her were irreversible, permanent, and progressive. Within months, she experienced a transformation so complete that her physicians could find no trace of the condition that had once dominated her life, controlled her activities, limited her possibilities, and defined her existence. And she understood that her breath had been waiting all along for her recognition, her direction, her partnership in the work of healing that is its natural function and its greatest joy. She realized that every breath she had ever taken contained this same healing potential, that every inhalation had carried the same creative power, that every exhalation had possessed the same transformative capability, but only when she learned to work with her breath consciously did its full healing capacity become available to her. This same breath moves through you now as you read these words, carrying the same potential for transformation that flowed through her lungs, holding the same power for renewal that coursed through her bloodstream, containing the same capacity for healing that permeated every cell of her body, waiting for the same recognition that she finally gave it, ready to respond to the same authority that she learned to exercise, prepared to obey the same commands that she learned to speak with such remarkable results. Your breath does not distinguish between voluntary and involuntary functions when you speak to it with conscious intention, for it recognizes only the authority of your directed will, the power of your focused attention, and the command of your spoken word. When you acknowledge your breath as the intelligent, responsive, healing force that it truly is, when you begin to work with it as a conscious partner in your health and well-being, when you learn to direct its flow with specific intentions and clear commands, you activate a healing mechanism that operates beyond the limitations of conventional medicine, beyond the boundaries of ordinary understanding, beyond the constraints of what you may have previously believed possible. The ancient wisdom traditions understood that breath is not merely air, but life itself made manifest in physical form, spirit expressing itself through matter, consciousness flowing through the vehicle of the body to accomplish the work of healing, renewal, and transformation that is its essential nature and primary purpose in your life. Your breath operates as the most sophisticated intelligence network ever created, more complex than any computer system ever designed by human ingenuity, more efficient than any communication network ever engineered by technological advancement, more reliable than any message delivery service ever established by corporate enterprise, carrying information, energy, and healing instructions to every organ, every tissue, every cell of your physical body with a speed and accuracy that defies human understanding, yet responds to human command with perfect obedience when that command is given with faith, authority, and clear intention. This remarkable network functions simultaneously on multiple levels of existence, operating through your physical respiratory system while simultaneously channeling spiritual energy, processing emotional patterns while delivering biochemical messages, coordinating cellular repair while maintaining energetic balance throughout your entire being. Within this intricate system lies an intelligence so vast and comprehensive that it monitors every heartbeat, regulates every hormone release, coordinates every enzymatic reaction, supervises every metabolic process, and orchestrates every healing response with a precision that surpasses the most advanced medical monitoring equipment ever invented. This intelligence operates through pathways that modern science is only beginning to understand, utilizing quantum field effects that conventional medicine has barely begun to acknowledge, employing energetic principles that ancient healing traditions have recognized for millennia, but that contemporary healthcare systems have largely forgotten or dismissed. Each inhalation draws into your being not merely oxygen molecules from the surrounding atmosphere, but life force itself flowing from the infinite source of all healing. Not merely air composed of various gases, but healing energy concentrated and personalized for your specific needs. Not merely breath in its mechanical sense, but divine intelligence that knows exactly what your body needs for optimal function and perfect health, what your mind requires for clarity and peace, what your spirit seeks for growth and fulfillment. This incoming breath carries with it the blueprint for perfect health that exists in the quantum field of infinite possibility, the template for optimal function that resides in the consciousness of universal healing, the pattern for complete restoration that flows from the source of all life and all wellness. Meanwhile, each exhalation carries away not merely carbon dioxide as the waste product of cellular respiration, but toxins accumulated from environmental exposure, limitations imposed by past conditioning, diseased patterns embedded in cellular memory, and everything that does not serve your highest good and greatest healing. Everything that blocks the flow of life force through your system. Everything that interferes with the natural expression of perfect health that is your birthright and your body's natural state. This outgoing breath serves as a powerful cleansing mechanism, removing not only physical impurities, but emotional blockages, mental limitations, and spiritual obstacles that may have accumulated over years or even decades of unconscious living. The intelligence that governs your breathing possesses intimate knowledge of every aspect of your physical form, knows the precise location of every organ in your body and its relationship to every other organ, knows the intricate function of every system and how each system interconnects with all others, knows the specific needs of every cell and the role each cell plays in the symphony of your total health, knows the healing potential that lies dormant within every aspect of your physical being, waiting to be awakened, activated, and directed toward the restoration of perfect function and radiant vitality. This same intelligence stands ready to direct healing energy with surgical precision to any area you designate through conscious breath commands, to focus its restorative power exactly where you need it most, to activate healing mechanisms in any organ you specify through deliberate breath direction, to stimulate repair processes in any tissue you name, to restore function to any system you identify through intentional breath communication, to regenerate any structure you target through focused breath intention. The key lies in recognizing that your breath is not merely an automatic function, but a conscious tool, not merely a biological process, but a spiritual practice, not merely a physical necessity, but a healing opportunity that presents itself to you 25,000 times every single day. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had been struggling with liver problems that had resisted all conventional treatments available to modern medicine. His liver function declining despite the most advanced medications prescribed by leading specialists, despite carefully monitored dietary restrictions designed by experienced nutritionists, despite lifestyle modifications recommended by healthcare professionals, his energy levels dropping as toxins accumulated in his system faster than his compromised liver could process them. His overall health deteriorating as this vital organ failed to perform its essential cleansing and regenerating functions that are so crucial to maintaining life and vitality. His physicians had tried every approach in their medical arsenal, every pharmaceutical intervention approved by regulatory agencies, every surgical option that carried an acceptable risk-to-benefit ratio, every dietary protocol that showed promise in clinical trials. Yet his condition continued to worsen. His test results continued to decline, his prognosis continued to darken, and his hope for recovery continued to diminish. As conventional medicine reached the limits of its current understanding and available treatments, when he learned that his breath could be consciously directed to carry healing energy to specific organs with the same precision that a skilled surgeon directs instruments to specific locations, when he discovered that he could speak commands to his breath that would be delivered with perfect accuracy to any part of his body that required healing attention, when he realized that his liver was waiting for the healing energy that his breath was eager to provide, ready to receive, and capable of utilizing for complete restoration, he began a practice of liver-specific breath healing that transformed not only his liver function, but his understanding of the relationship between conscious breathing and targeted organ restoration, between intentional breath direction and specific healing outcomes. 3 times daily, at carefully chosen moments when he could focus his complete attention on this healing work, he would place his hands over the area of his liver with reverence and gratitude, connecting physically with this vital organ that had served him faithfully for decades, and speak with calm authority, unwavering faith, and complete confidence to his breath, saying with the certainty of one who knows that his words carry creative power. Breath, I command you to carry perfect healing energy to my liver. I direct you to restore all liver function to optimal levels that exceed even normal parameters. I instruct you to cleanse my liver of all toxins, both known and unknown. I order you to regenerate every liver cell to perfect health and maximum efficiency. I charge you to activate every healing mechanism available to this organ, and I authorize you to continue this work throughout every moment of every day until complete restoration is achieved. He spoke these words not as desperate pleas born of fear and limitation, but as authoritative commands issued with the confidence that comes from understanding the true nature of breath as an intelligent healing force, with the certainty that comes from recognizing his own power to direct this force through conscious intention, with the faith that comes from trusting in the infinite intelligence that flows through every breath and responds to every sincere command given with proper authority and clear purpose. As days became weeks filled with consistent practice and unwavering faith, and weeks became months marked by steady improvement and growing confidence, his liver function tests began to show improvement that surprised his medical team. His energy levels began to increase beyond what he had experienced in years. His overall health began to transform in ways that defied his physician's expectations. His vitality began to return with a vibrancy he had forgotten was possible, and his physicians marveled at the restoration of an organ they had considered permanently damaged beyond the possibility of significant recovery. These medical professionals, trained in the finest institutions and experienced in treating the most challenging cases, could not explain through conventional understanding the remarkable regeneration occurring in their patient's liver, not knowing that his breath had become his liver's personal healing messenger, delivering restoration energy with every conscious inhalation and carrying away limitation and dysfunction with every directed exhalation, working tirelessly and intelligently to accomplish the healing that he had commanded with such faith and authority. The emotional landscape of your inner world responds to breath commands with the same precision and reliability as your physical body, with the same immediate obedience as your cellular systems, with the same unwavering dedication as your organ functions. For your breath serves as the bridge between your thinking mind and your feeling heart, between your rational consciousness and your intuitive wisdom, between your conscious intentions and your emotional reality, between your spoken words and your experienced peace, between what you know intellectually to be true and what you feel emotionally to be real. Carrying instructions for emotional healing that can dissolve patterns of fear, anxiety, anger, and sadness that have accumulated over years or decades of difficult experiences, painful relationships, traumatic events, and disappointing circumstances that seemed to leave permanent emotional scars embedded in the very fabric of your psychological being. These emotional wounds, these psychological imprints, these energetic blockages that may have defined your emotional responses for so long that you believed them to be permanent aspects of your personality, immutable features of your character, unchangeable elements of your psychological makeup, yield completely to the healing power of consciously commanded breath when that breath is directed with understanding of its true nature, faith in its healing capacity, and persistent application of its transformative power. Your emotional patterns are not fixed destinies, but fluid energies that respond to conscious direction, not permanent structures, but temporary formations that dissolve when approached with the right understanding and the proper technique. The same intelligence that knows how to heal physical tissues with such remarkable precision and efficiency knows how to heal emotional wounds with equal skill and dedication. The same life force that can restore organ function to optimal levels can restore emotional balance to perfect harmony. The same breath that can regenerate cells damaged by disease or injury can regenerate hope. In hearts that have lost their capacity to trust in good outcomes, can regenerate joy in souls that have forgotten how to experience genuine happiness, can regenerate peace in minds that have been consumed by worry and anxiety, can regenerate love in hearts that have been broken by betrayal, disappointment, or loss, in minds that have been troubled by trauma and confusion, in spirits that have been crushed by the accumulated weight of emotional pain and unresolved psychological trauma. Your emotional body operates as a sophisticated energy system that processes experiences, stores memories, and generates responses based on learned patterns that may have served you at one time, but no longer support your highest good and greatest happiness. These patterns, formed in moments of pain, fear, or confusion, continue to operate automatically until you learn to work with them consciously, until you discover that they respond to your breath commands just as readily as your physical body responds to conscious breathing instructions, until you realize that emotional healing can be as direct and powerful as physical healing. When you approach it with the same authority, the same faith, the same clear intention, when you speak to your breath about emotional healing, when you command it to carry peace into your nervous system and remove anxiety from your mental patterns with the same authority you would use to command it to heal a physical ailment, when you direct it to dissolve anger from your emotional body and replace it with forgiveness and understanding, when you instruct it to transform resentment into compassion, fear into courage, sadness into joy, you activate healing processes that work at the deepest levels of your psychological and spiritual being, processes that operate below the threshold of conscious awareness, but with effects that become evident in every aspect of your daily experience. These processes continue their work day and night, during your sleeping hours, as well as your waking moments, during times of conscious focus as well as periods of unconscious activity, working steadily and persistently to transform not only your emotional responses to current situations, but your fundamental emotional patterns that shape how you interpret and react to all of life's experiences. Not only your current feelings about specific circumstances, but your capacity for feeling itself, your ability to experience the full spectrum of positive emotions that are your birthright as a conscious being, not only your present emotional state, but your emotional future, the quality of feeling that will characterize your tomorrows and all the days beyond. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had lived with panic attacks for over 20 years of her adult life, sudden overwhelming waves of terror that would strike without warning or apparent cause, leaving her afraid to leave her home for fear of having an attack in public, afraid to be alone for fear of having no one to help her, afraid of the fear itself, afraid of the unpredictable nature of these attacks, afraid of living the full life she longed to experience, but felt was impossible as long as these attacks continued to dominate her existence and control her choices, limiting her activities, restricting her relationships, and diminishing her joy in living. Every medication prescribed by well-meaning physicians had provided only temporary relief that came with unwanted side effects. Every therapy attempted with dedicated counselors had offered only partial improvement that seemed to plateau after initial progress. Every relaxation technique learned from books and workshops had helped only slightly, providing momentary calm but failing to address the underlying patterns that generated these episodes of overwhelming fear and anxiety that seemed to arise from some deep place within her psyche that conventional approaches could not reach or heal. Her life had become increasingly constrained as she organized her days around the possibility of panic, avoiding situations that might trigger an attack, declining invitations that might put her at risk, limiting her experiences to those that felt safe and predictable until her world had shrunk to a small circle of familiar places and trusted people, a life lived in the shadow of fear that robbed her of spontaneity, adventure, and the full expression of her potential as a human being meant to experience joy, freedom, and unlimited possibility. Until she learned that her breath possessed the authority to command her nervous system to return to perfect calm with the same reliability that it possessed to command physical healing, to order her emotional patterns to release all fear with the same obedience that it showed to physical healing instructions, to instruct her entire being to remember the peace that was her natural state. Before fear took residence in her heart and mind, before anxiety became her constant companion, before panic became the defining feature of her daily experience and the limiting factor in all her life decisions, she began to speak to her breath whenever she felt the first subtle signs of panic beginning to build in her system. Those early warning signals that had once filled her with dread, but now served as reminders to exercise her newfound authority over her emotional state, saying with complete confidence and unwavering faith, "Breath, I command you to flood my nervous system with perfect peace that penetrates every nerve fiber, every neural pathway, every aspect of my emotional processing system. I direct you to dissolve all patterns of fear and anxiety that have taken root in my consciousness. I instruct you to restore my emotional balance to its natural state of calm confidence, and I order you to fill my heart with unshakable calm that no external circumstance can disturb, no internal thought can disrupt, no memory can undermine." She spoke these words not as desperate attempts to control her panic, but as authoritative commands given with the certainty that they would be obeyed, with the confidence that comes from understanding the true relationship between consciousness and breath, between intention and emotional reality, between spoken word and experienced peace, and the panic attacks that had seemed so powerful, so uncontrollable, so permanent, so much a part of her identity, that she had begun to define herself by their presence, began to lose their grip on her life as her breath obeyed her commands with faithful dedication. Her breath carried peace into every corner of her being where fear had once resided, replacing anxiety with tranquility, substituting terror with trust, transforming worry into confidence, changing her emotional landscape from a battlefield of conflicting fears and desperate hopes into a sanctuary of abiding peace that no external circumstance could disturb or destroy. No unexpected event could shake or undermine. No memory from the past could contaminate or corrupt, creating within her an emotional foundation so solid, so unshakable, so deeply rooted in the power of conscious breathing that panic could find no place to take hold, no foothold from which to launch its attacks, no weakness through which to enter and disrupt her newfound emotional freedom. Within the memory banks of your breath lies the complete blueprint of your original perfect health, stored with infinite precision and maintained with perfect fidelity. The exact specifications of optimal function that governed your body at the moment of your conception. When life force first sparked into physical form, the precise patterns of wholeness that directed your cellular development throughout your time in the womb. When every cell division followed divine instruction, when every tissue formation obeyed perfect intelligence, when every organ development proceeded according to flawless design, the perfect architectural plan that created every organ, every system, every tissue, every cellular structure according to divine intelligence that knows no limitation, recognizes no impossibility, acknowledges no defeat, and maintains within your breath the complete power to restore that original perfection whenever you command it to access those healing memory files and activate those restoration programs that have been waiting dormant within your breathing system since the day you took your first breath and your soul fully entered physical form. This blueprint exists not as a faded copy or deteriorated record, but as a living, vibrant, eternally fresh pattern that remains as perfect today as it was at the moment of its creation, as complete in its specifications as it was when your physical form first began its journey toward manifestation, as powerful in its potential for restoration as it was in its original creative capacity. Your breath serves as the keeper of this sacred record, the guardian of this perfect design, the curator of this divine template that contains within its infinite wisdom the solution to every health challenge, the answer to every physical limitation, the key to every healing possibility that you might ever need throughout your entire lifetime and beyond. Your breath remembers when every organ in your body functioned flawlessly, operating with the smooth efficiency of perfectly calibrated instruments, when every system operated in perfect harmony with every other system, creating a symphony of biological function that surpassed the most sophisticated machines ever invented by human ingenuity. When every cell carried out its designated function with precision and efficiency that exceeded the performance of the most advanced technological devices, when your entire physical being existed in the state of radiant health that is your birthright and your destiny, the natural condition from which you have never truly departed, despite appearances to the contrary, despite diagnoses that suggest otherwise, despite symptoms that seem to indicate permanent deviation from this perfect state. This memory remains available to you through conscious breath commands that can reactivate those perfect patterns with the same reliability that a computer accesses stored files, restore those optimal functions with the same precision that a musician plays a familiar melody, and recreate that original wholeness with the same faithfulness that nature reproduces its perfect forms season after season, year after year, regardless of how many years have passed since you first experienced that perfection, regardless of how much damage seems to have occurred to obscure that original design, regardless of how many medical experts have declared certain conditions permanent or irreversible, or beyond the reach of healing intervention, regardless of how many times you may have been told that certain limitations must be accepted as unchangeable facts of life. The intelligence within your breath operates according to principles that transcend time, that override limitation with supreme authority, that command restoration with a power that comes from its direct connection to the source of all life, all health, all healing that exists within creation itself, within the fundamental fabric of existence, within the very consciousness that spoke all things into being and continues to maintain them through the power of divine breath flowing through all living creatures. This intelligence recognizes no statute of limitations on healing, acknowledges no expiration date on restoration, accepts no final verdicts about what can or cannot be healed, for it operates from a realm where all things are possible, where every pattern can be restored, where every function can be renewed. Your breath contains within its molecular structure, within its energetic signature, within its spiritual essence, the complete record of every moment when your body operated in perfect health, every instant when your systems functioned in ideal harmony, every second when your cells performed their duties with flawless precision. And this record exists not merely as passive information, but as active, living potential that awaits your conscious command to spring into immediate and powerful action, to begin the work of restoration that can return your physical form to its original state of perfect design and optimal function. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had suffered a massive stroke that struck with devastating suddenness, disrupting the neural pathways that controlled his most basic functions, leaving him unable to speak clearly, his words coming out as frustrated mumbles that neither he nor his loved ones could understand. Unable to move his right arm that hung lifeless at his side, as if disconnected from his conscious control, unable to walk without assistance, requiring support for the most basic movements that he had once performed without thought, his brain function so severely impaired that doctors offered little hope for significant recovery and suggested with professional compassion that he prepare for a life of permanent disability and dependence on others for basic daily functions that most people take for granted. The medical team, trained in the finest institutions and experienced with countless stroke cases, explained to him and his family that the damage to his brain tissue was extensive, that the neural pathways responsible for speech, movement, and coordination had been severely compromised, that while some minor improvement might occur in the first few months following the stroke, they should not expect dramatic recovery, should not hope for return to previous levels of function, should begin planning for long-term care arrangements and assisted living facilities that could accommodate his permanent limitations and ongoing needs for supervision and support. But this man had learned through his study of Dr. Murphy's teachings that his breath carried within it the memory of perfect brain function, the complete blueprint of optimal neurological health that had directed his brain's operation for decades before the stroke, the precise pattern of complete physical capability that had existed before the stroke disrupted the neural pathways that controlled his speech, his movement, his cognitive abilities, his memory, and his capacity to perform the thousands of complex functions that his brain had once coordinated with effortless skill and remarkable precision. Understanding that his breath contained not only the memory of this perfection, but the power to restore it, he began to speak commands to his breath that activated those healing memories, that accessed those restoration files stored within the deeper levels of his respiratory intelligence, that commanded his breathing to deliver perfect health patterns to every affected area of his brain and nervous system, to every damaged neural pathway, to every compromised brain region, to every system that required restoration and renewal, daily, with determination that grew stronger with each practice session, with faith that deepened with each conscious breath, with conviction that became unshakable despite the apparent evidence of his physical limitations. He would say to his breath, with unwavering conviction, with absolute certainty, with complete authority. Breath. I command you to access the memory of my perfect brain function and restore it now to complete. Wholeness. Activate the blueprint of my complete neurological health that exists within your memory banks. Recreate the patterns of optimal brain performance that directed my thinking, speaking, and moving. Before this temporary disruption occurred, restore every neural pathway to perfect function, regenerate every damaged brain cell to optimal health, and re-establish every connection that supports clear speech, strong movement, and sharp cognitive ability. Month by month, as he continued this practice with unwavering dedication and growing confidence, his speech began to clear, words forming with increasing precision and clarity that surprised his therapists and encouraged his family. His right arm began to regain strength and mobility, responding to his conscious commands with movements that his doctors had declared impossible. His walking became steadier and more confident, requiring less assistance and demonstrating better balance than his medical team had predicted. His cognitive function began to return to levels that amazed his medical team and challenged their understanding of stroke recovery, their previous certainties about permanent limitation, their assumptions about the impossibility of complete neurological restoration. Within 18 months of beginning this conscious breath practice, he had regained abilities that medical science considered impossible to restore, functions that textbooks declared permanently lost, capabilities that experienced neurologists had written off as irretrievable, his breath having successfully accessed and activated the healing memories that recreated the neurological perfection that was his original design and his rightful inheritance, proving once again that the intelligence within conscious breathing operates according to laws higher than medical limitation, principles more powerful than diagnostic certainty, and possibilities more expansive than conventional understanding allows. The magnetic power of your breath extends far beyond the boundaries of your physical body, reaching into dimensions of healing energy that most people never recognize or access, to draw healing energy from the unlimited reservoir of life force that surrounds you at every moment of your existence, that flows through the atmosphere you breathe with every inhalation, that permeates every molecule of air that enters your lungs, carrying not only oxygen, but concentrated healing potential, that connects you through invisible but powerful channels to the cosmic source of all healing, all restoration, all regeneration that operates throughout creation with perfect intelligence and unlimited power, with infinite wisdom and boundless compassion, waiting only for your conscious command to direct this infinite healing energy into your personal healing process. Through the magnetic attraction of breath commands spoken with faith, authority, and absolute expectation of complete restoration. This magnetic quality of your breath operates according to universal laws that govern the attraction of like energies, the concentration of healing forces, and the manifestation of restoration power through conscious intention combined with rhythmic breathing that serves as both antenna and receiver for cosmic healing frequencies. Your breath functions as a sophisticated electromagnetic instrument capable of tuning into healing vibrations that exist on multiple levels of reality, drawing them into your physical form where they can accomplish healing work that transcends the limitations of conventional medicine, surpasses the boundaries of ordinary therapeutic intervention, and exceeds the possibilities that most people consider realistic or achievable. When you speak to your breath with the understanding that it serves as your personal magnet for divine healing energy, when you recognize it as your cosmic connection to unlimited restoration power, when you command it to draw into your being every healing vibration that exists in the universe, when you direct it to attract and concentrate unlimited restoration power into every aspect of your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual being. When you authorize it to magnetize perfect health from every dimension of existence. You activate a healing process that operates beyond the boundaries of your individual life force to connect you with the healing intention of life itself, the restoration purpose of creation itself, the regeneration power of the divine source from which all healing flows like an inexhaustible fountain of wellness that never diminishes, never depletes, never fails to respond to sincere calls for assistance and healing support. This process transforms your ordinary breathing into extraordinary healing work, elevates your automatic respiratory function into conscious healing practice, converts your involuntary breath into voluntary healing magnetism that draws from sources of restoration energy that exist throughout the cosmos, throughout all dimensions of reality, throughout every level of creation. Where healing power resides in unlimited abundance waiting to be called forth, concentrated, and directed into specific healing applications through the magnetic power of conscious breathing, commanded with proper understanding and unwavering faith. The breath becomes your cosmic antenna, finely tuned to receive healing transmissions from every source of restoration energy that exists within creation. Your universal receiver capable of attracting and concentrating healing vibrations from dimensions of reality that extend far beyond physical perception, yet influence physical reality with transformative power. Your personal portal to healing dimensions that exist beyond ordinary physical reality, yet influence physical reality with transformative power that can accomplish healing miracles that seem impossible from the perspective of limited human understanding, but are perfectly natural from the perspective of unlimited divine healing that flows through conscious breath commands into manifestation in your body, your mind, your emotions, your entire life experience. Through this magnetic breathing practice, you establish yourself as a conscious participant in the universal healing process, no longer merely hoping for healing to occur, but actively drawing healing energy from its cosmic source, no longer waiting passively for restoration, but magnetizing restoration power through deliberate breathwork, no longer depending solely on external healing interventions, but accessing internal healing mechanisms that connect you to unlimited sources of restoration energy that exist beyond the physical realm, yet manifest powerfully within physical reality when properly attracted and concentrated through conscious breathing. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had been diagnosed with a serious illness that her doctors described as aggressive and potentially fatal, a condition that had appeared suddenly in her life like an unwelcome intruder, a disease that seemed to drain her life force as it spread through her body with frightening speed, leaving her feeling physically depleted, emotionally devastated, mentally confused, and spiritually disconnected from hope, from healing, from the vibrant health she had always taken for granted, until this illness made her acutely aware of how precious and fragile physical well-being could be, how quickly the foundation of good health could be undermined by forces that seemed beyond her control or understanding. Her medical team, while compassionate and skilled, offered treatments that came with their own challenges, side effects that sometimes seemed as debilitating as the disease itself, procedures that addressed symptoms without touching the deeper sources of healing that she sensed must exist somewhere beyond the reach of conventional medical intervention, therapies that provided temporary relief without offering the complete restoration that her heart knew must be possible if she could only discover the right approach, the correct method, the proper technique for accessing healing power that operated beyond the limitations of current medical knowledge and pharmaceutical intervention. When she learned through her study of Dr. Murphy's teachings that her breath could serve as a magnet for healing energy from sources beyond her individual life force, when she discovered that the same breathing that sustained her physical life could be consciously directed to draw unlimited restoration power into her being from the cosmic reservoir of divine healing that existed throughout creation, when she realized that every breath could become a conscious act of magnetic attraction for the healing energy that existed in infinite supply throughout the universe, waiting only for her command to concentrate its power within her body for the specific purpose of complete restoration and renewed vitality. She began to breathe with entirely new understanding, entirely new purpose, entirely new expectation. She began to breathe with the understanding that each inhalation was drawing perfect health into every cell of her body from sources of healing that knew no limitation, recognized no impossibility, acknowledged no defeat, sources that contained healing power sufficient to restore any condition, regenerate any tissue, renew any organ, revitalize any system that required healing attention and restoration work. Each exhalation carried away not only carbon dioxide, but every vibration of illness, every pattern of disease, every frequency of malfunction that did not align with perfect health and optimal well-being. Breath, she would command with absolute certainty, with unwavering faith, with complete authority, speaking to her breathing as to an obedient servant capable of accomplishing any healing task assigned to it. I command you to draw into my being every healing vibration that exists in the universe, to magnetize perfect health from every dimension of creation, to concentrate unlimited restoration power into every aspect of my physical being, to attract healing energy from every source of wellness that exists throughout cosmos, to pull into my body the specific healing frequencies that will restore every organ to perfect function, regenerate every tissue to optimal health, and renew every system to complete wellness. She spoke these commands not as desperate pleas born of fear and desperation, but as authoritative instructions issued with the confidence that comes from understanding the true relationship between consciousness and cosmic healing energy, between breath and universal restoration power, between human command and divine response, knowing that her breath possessed the magnetic power to draw healing energy from unlimited sources and concentrate that energy within her body for the specific work of complete restoration. The illness that had seemed so aggressive, so unstoppable, so threatening began to retreat before the concentrated healing energy that her magnetic breathing was drawing from cosmic sources. The condition that had appeared so threatening began to resolve, as unlimited restoration power flowed into every affected area of her body. The prognosis that had been so frightening began to transform into a testimony of healing power that operated through conscious breath magnetism. Her breathing having become a powerful attractor of cosmic healing energy that restored her to complete health and vibrant vitality that exceeded even her pre-illness levels of wellness and life force. Her recovery astonished her medical team, challenged their understanding of her particular condition, and provided them with a case study that they could not fully explain through conventional medical theories, but could not deny in terms of measurable, verifiable results that demonstrated complete restoration of health where medical science had predicted inevitable decline. Her magnetic breathing having successfully connected her to sources of healing power that operated beyond medical understanding, but within the natural laws of cosmic healing energy responding to conscious human command. Your breath functions as a sophisticated healing laboratory within your body, more advanced than any pharmaceutical research facility ever constructed by human science, more precise than any chemical manufacturing plant ever engineered by modern technology, more intelligent than any computer system ever programmed by human ingenuity, capable of manufacturing precisely the healing compounds your system needs for optimal health, capable of producing exactly the therapeutic substances required for specific healing challenges that may arise throughout your lifetime, capable of generating custom healing chemistry that surpasses any pharmaceutical intervention in its precision, effectiveness, and complete absence of negative side effects. When you learn to speak to your breath with the understanding that it possesses the intelligence and capability to create whatever healing substances your body requires, and the willingness to produce those substances in perfect quantities at exactly the right times for your maximum healing benefit and restoration success. This remarkable internal laboratory operates 24 hours every day without vacation, without maintenance downtime, without equipment failure, without supply shortages, with a reliability that exceeds any external manufacturing system, with a quality control process that ensures perfect purity, with a distribution network that delivers healing compounds directly to the precise locations where they are needed most, with a timing mechanism that releases therapeutic substances at exactly the right moments for optimal healing effect, and with a safety protocol that prevents any harmful side effects or negative interactions that might compromise your health or well-being in any way. The same creative intelligence that transforms the food you eat into the tissues of your body through miraculous processes of digestion, absorption, and cellular construction, that converts the air you breathe into the energy that powers your cellular functions through complex biochemical reactions, that changes simple nutrients into complex healing compounds within your organs and glands, through sophisticated metabolic processes, operates through your conscious breath commands to manufacture therapeutic substances that your body cannot obtain from any external source, but can produce in unlimited quantities when your breathing system receives clear instructions about what to create, how much to create, when to create it, and where to deliver it within your physical system for maximum therapeutic benefit. This internal healing laboratory possesses capabilities that far exceed any external pharmaceutical facility because it operates with intimate knowledge of your body's unique biochemistry, your individual healing requirements, your specific therapeutic needs, your personal healing timeline, and your exact cellular specifications. It knows the precise molecular structure of every healing compound that will benefit your particular condition, understands the exact dosage that will produce optimal results without any adverse effects, recognizes the perfect timing for releasing therapeutic substances into your system, and maintains complete awareness of how different healing compounds should interact with each other and with your body's natural processes to create synergistic healing effects that multiply the power of each individual therapeutic substance. This internal healing laboratory responds to spoken commands with the same reliability that external laboratories respond to written prescriptions, but with far greater accuracy in understanding your needs, far greater effectiveness in producing results, far greater safety in avoiding harmful effects. Because your breath knows your body's needs with intimate precision that no external laboratory could ever achieve, creates healing compounds that are perfectly matched to your individual requirements rather than mass-produced for general populations, perfectly timed for your healing process rather than released according to arbitrary schedules, perfectly delivered to the exact locations where they will produce maximum therapeutic benefit rather than distributed randomly throughout your system, hoping to reach the right targets. Your breath understands the complex chemistry of healing at levels that surpass human scientific knowledge, recognizes healing opportunities that escape medical detection, responds to healing commands with obedience that exceeds any mechanical system, and produces healing results that often surpass what conventional medicine considers possible, because it operates from intelligence that created the human body and therefore knows exactly how to heal, restore, and regenerate every aspect of your physical form with precision that matches the original creative process that brought your body into existence. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had lived with severe arthritis pain for over 15 years of increasing suffering, his joints so inflamed and stiff that simple movements that healthy people take for granted caused him agony that shot through his body like electrical shocks, his mobility so limited by pain and stiffness that he could barely perform basic daily tasks such as opening jars, climbing stairs, or even getting dressed in the morning. His quality of life so diminished by constant pain and restricted movement that he had begun to accept that constant suffering would be his permanent companion for whatever years remained to him. That pain would define his experience for the rest of his life. Every pain medication prescribed by well-intentioned physicians had provided only temporary relief that lasted a few hours before the pain returned with renewed intensity, accompanied by unwanted side effects that created new problems while failing to solve the original condition. Every anti-inflammatory drug recommended by specialists had helped only slightly while creating digestive problems, stomach irritation, and other complications that sometimes seemed worse than the arthritis pain itself. Every treatment approach attempted by various healthcare providers had fallen short of providing the lasting relief he desperately needed and the complete restoration he longed to experience, leaving him feeling hopeless about the possibility of ever living without constant pain and limitation. His doctors had explained that arthritis was a progressive condition that would only worsen with time, that his cartilage would continue to deteriorate, that his joints would become increasingly inflamed and painful, that the best he could hope for was to slow the progression of the disease while managing his pain with stronger medications that would likely produce more severe side effects as his condition required higher doses and more frequent treatment interventions. When he learned through his study of Dr. Murphy's teachings that his breath could be commanded to produce natural painkillers within his body, substances more powerful and more precisely targeted than any external medication, when he discovered that his breathing system could manufacture anti-inflammatory compounds more effective than any pharmaceutical product while producing no negative side effects whatsoever, when he realized that his internal healing laboratory could create custom arthritis medicine perfectly designed for his specific condition and individual needs, perfectly timed for his healing schedule, perfectly delivered to the exact joints that required healing attention, he began to speak daily commands to his breath with the expectation that it would respond by producing exactly what his joints needed for complete healing and restoration. He approached this practice with the same confidence he would have in filling a prescription at a pharmacy, with the same expectation of results he would have from taking proven medication, with the same authority he would exercise in any other healing intervention, understanding that his breath possessed capabilities that exceeded any external pharmacy, any external laboratory, any external healing system ever created by human intelligence or human technology. Breath, he would command. With quiet confidence, with unwavering faith, with complete authority over his internal healing processes, I command you to manufacture natural painkillers for my arthritis and deliver them directly to my joints where they are needed most. I direct you to produce anti-inflammatory compounds more powerful than any pharmaceutical drug and concentrate them in every area affected by arthritis inflammation. I instruct you to create healing substances that restore cartilage to its original healthy condition and regenerate healthy joint tissue that functions with perfect comfort and complete mobility. I order you to continue this healing production work day and night until every joint in my body functions with perfect comfort and unlimited mobility. He spoke these commands not as hopeful requests, but as authoritative instructions given to an obedient healing system that possessed the intelligence to understand his needs, the capability to produce whatever healing substances he required, and the willingness to work continuously until his healing was complete and his joints functioned with perfect comfort and unrestricted movement. Month by month, as he continued this practice with consistent dedication and growing confidence in his breath's healing capabilities, the pain that had been constant for over 15 years began to diminish in intensity and frequency. The stiffness that had been severe enough to limit his daily activities began to decrease noticeably. The inflammation that had been chronic and seemingly permanent began to resolve as his internal laboratory produced custom anti-inflammatory compounds perfectly suited to his individual biochemistry, The mobility that had been restricted and painful began to return gradually but steadily, until his joints functioned with a comfort and freedom he had not experienced in over a decade. His transformation amazed his physicians, who found it difficult to explain the dramatic improvement in his condition through conventional medical understanding, challenged their assumptions about the progressive nature of arthritis, and provided them with evidence that healing could occur through mechanisms that operated beyond their current knowledge. His breath having successfully manufactured and delivered healing compounds that accomplished what no external medicine had been able to achieve, proving once again that the internal healing laboratory of conscious breathing possesses capabilities that surpass any external healing intervention when properly understood, properly commanded, and consistently utilized for specific healing purposes. The time-reversing capabilities of your breath extend beyond simple healing to encompass the restoration of youthful cellular function, the reactivation of regenerative processes that typically slow with age according to conventional understanding, the renewal of energy patterns that characteristically diminish over decades of living in a society that programs people to expect decline, enabling you to command your breathing to access and activate the fountain of youth that exists within your own cellular structure, within your own genetic programming, within your own life force that contains the complete blueprint for continuous renewal, perpetual regeneration, and ongoing restoration that can override the aging programs society has taught you to accept as inevitable, and replace them with youth-maintaining patterns that keep your body, mind, and spirit functioning at optimal levels regardless of your chronological age or the number of years you have lived upon this earth. This remarkable capability exists because your breath operates according to principles that transcend linear time, that access eternal patterns of renewal that exist beyond temporal limitations, that connect you to the timeless source of life that knows no aging, recognizes no decline, acknowledges no diminishment except what you permit through unconscious acceptance of age-related programming that has nothing to do with the true nature of life force flowing through your breathing system. Your breath carries within its rhythmic flow the same regenerative power that creates new life, the same renewing energy that restores nature, season after season, the same creative force that maintains the stars in their courses and keeps the universe in a constant state of renewal and regeneration that never grows old, never diminishes, never loses its capacity to create, restore, and regenerate whatever it touches with conscious intention. Your breath remembers the cellular vitality you possessed in your youth when every cell in your body operated at peak efficiency, remembers the abundant energy levels you enjoyed in your prime when you could accomplish tasks with ease and enthusiasm, remembers the physical capabilities you demonstrated at your peak when your body responded instantly to your intentions, remembers the mental clarity you experienced at your best, when your thoughts flowed with crystal precision and your memory functioned with perfect reliability, remembers the emotional resilience you possessed when challenges seemed like adventures and obstacles appeared as opportunities for growth and triumph. And this memory remains available to you through breath commands that can reactivate those youthful patterns with the same precision that a computer accesses stored programs. These memories exist not as faded echoes of a distant past, but as living, active templates that retain their full power to recreate the conditions they represent, as dynamic patterns that wait within your breathing system for your conscious command to spring back into full operation, as eternal blueprints that can restore those energetic states, recreate those optimal functions, regenerate those peak capabilities, enabling you to experience in your present life the vitality, strength, clarity, and capability that you may have thought were permanently lost to the passage of time, relegated to the realm of nostalgic memory, forever beyond your reach, except through wistful recollection of better days that would never return. The truth is that those better days exist within your breath in eternal present tense, available for immediate reactivation whenever you choose to exercise your authority over the aging process, whenever you decide to command your breathing system to access those youth patterns, whenever you determine to override societal programming about age-related decline and activate instead the timeless patterns of renewal that are your birthright and your inheritance as a being whose life force connects directly to the eternal source of all youth, all vitality, all regenerative power that flows through creation. The aging process responds to conscious breath commands just as readily as any illness or dysfunction, yielding to the superior authority of directed life force that knows no age, recognizes no limitation based on calendar years, acknowledges no inevitability except the inevitability of whatever healing, restoration, or regeneration you command it to accomplish through persistent, faithful, expectant communication with your breathing system that possesses the intelligence to understand your commands, the capability to carry them out, and the willingness to work continuously until your youth restoration goals are fully achieved. This process works because aging is not a natural law, but a learned pattern, not an inevitable destiny, but a programmed expectation, not a biological requirement, but a cultural conditioning that can be overridden by conscious direction of life force through breath commands that connect you to patterns of renewal that exist beyond the realm of time-bound thinking, beyond the influence of age-related programming, beyond the limitations that society attempts to impose on the unlimited regenerative capacity of properly directed breathing. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had noticed the unmistakable signs of aging beginning to accelerate in her mid-50s, despite her previous confidence that she would age gracefully and maintain her vitality well into her later years, her energy declining noticeably from year to year in ways that seemed to compound rather than simply progress linearly, her physical strength diminishing gradually but consistently in measurements she could not deny despite her efforts to maintain her fitness through regular exercise routines, her mental sharpness occasionally clouded by fatigue and forgetfulness that worried her more than any physical symptoms because she had always prided herself on her intellectual acuity and sharp memory. Her overall vitality was slowly but steadily decreasing, in ways that made her feel as though she was watching her life force drain away like water from a cracked vessel, despite her best efforts to maintain her health through proper diet, carefully planned by nutritional experts, regular exercise supervised by qualified trainers, adequate rest monitored by sleep specialists, stress management techniques learned from experienced practitioners, and all the anti-aging supplements recommended by health professionals who promised results that never seemed to materialize in any meaningful or lasting way. She found herself avoiding mirrors that reflected changes she didn't want to acknowledge, declining social invitations that would require the energy she no longer possessed in abundance, making excuses for memory lapses that seemed to occur with increasing frequency, and accepting limitations that contradicted everything she had believed about her capacity to maintain her vitality throughout her lifetime, until she began to wonder if the decline she was experiencing was indeed as inevitable as everyone seemed to believe it was. When she learned through her study of Dr. Murphy's teachings that her breath could be commanded to reverse aging processes with the same authority and effectiveness that it could be commanded to heal illness, when she discovered that she could speak instructions to her breathing that would reactivate the cellular regeneration patterns of her younger self, when she realized that her breath contained the power to restore not only health, but youth itself to her body, mind, and spirit. When she understood that the aging process was not a fixed law of nature, but a reversible pattern that responded to conscious breath commands. She began a practice of age reversal breath commands that challenged every assumption she had held about the inevitability of aging and the permanence of age-related decline. Each morning she would place her hands over her heart and speak with firm conviction, unwavering faith, and complete authority to her breath, saying with the certainty of one who knows that words have creative power. Breath, I command you to restore my cellular function to the vitality of my youth when every cell operated at peak efficiency. I direct you to reactivate all regenerative processes to their optimal performance levels that existed when my body renewed itself with effortless precision. I instruct you to reverse all aging patterns and replace them with patterns of continuous renewal and regeneration that keep my body functioning at its absolute best, regardless of calendar time. Each evening, she would continue this practice with growing confidence and increasing expectation of results, saying with complete faith in her breath's ability to accomplish whatever she commanded. Breath, I order you to regenerate my energy to youthful levels that exceed even what I possessed in my 20s. I direct you to restore my physical strength and mental clarity to their peak performance states. I command you to maintain my body, mind, and spirit at their optimal function regardless of chronological age, and I authorize you to continue this age reversal work throughout every moment of every day until my entire being radiates the vitality, strength, and clarity of eternal youth. Within months of beginning this practice, with consistent dedication and unwavering faith in the age-reversing capabilities of conscious breathing, her energy began to return to levels she had not experienced in years, surging through her body with the vigor she remembered from her younger days. Her physical strength began to improve beyond what her exercise routine alone could account for, surprising her trainer with improvements that seemed to accelerate rather than plateau. Her mental clarity became sharper than it had been in over a decade, with memories returning and cognitive function operating at levels that amazed even her closest friends who had known her for years. Her overall vitality increased to the point where friends and family began commenting on her renewed appearance, her obvious increase in life force, her transformed energy levels, her restored enthusiasm for activities she had given up years earlier, her breath having successfully accessed and activated the youth-restoring capabilities that exist within the life force of every human being who learns to command their breathing with the authority and expectation that such regeneration not only requires and deserves, but eagerly awaits from anyone bold enough to challenge the programming of inevitable decline and embrace instead the truth of unlimited renewal that flows through conscious breathing directed toward the restoration of eternal youth. In moments of health crisis, when medical emergencies threaten life itself with sudden intensity that transforms peaceful moments into terrifying battles for survival, when urgent healing intervention means the difference between continuing to live and facing the ultimate disaster of death, when time is measured in minutes rather than months, and immediate restoration becomes a matter of life and death that will determine whether you see another sunrise or breathe another conscious breath. Your breath responds to emergency commands with supernatural speed that defies normal healing timelines, with crisis-level intensity that matches the urgency of your situation, with life-saving power that can accomplish in moments what might normally require weeks or months of gradual healing process, because the intelligence within your breathing system recognizes urgent need with the same precision that emergency medical teams recognize crisis situations and responds with corresponding urgency, mobilizing every healing resource at its disposal and concentrating maximum restoration power into the specific areas that require immediate intervention to preserve life, restore function, and prevent permanent damage to vital organs and critical body systems. This emergency response capability operates according to healing principles that transcend ordinary therapeutic approaches, accessing power reserves that remain dormant during normal circumstances, but spring into immediate action when life-threatening situations demand intervention that surpasses conventional healing modalities, drawing upon life force concentrations that can be focused and applied with surgical precision to wherever the crisis is most acute, wherever the threat to survival is most immediate. Wherever intervention must occur within minutes or seconds to prevent irreversible damage or loss of life itself. Your breath in emergency mode transforms from its normal maintenance function into a sophisticated crisis intervention system that operates with the same efficiency and dedication as the most advanced emergency medical teams, but with capabilities that far exceed any external intervention, because it works from within your body with intimate knowledge of every system, every organ, every cellular process that requires immediate attention to preserve your life and restore your health to safe, stable levels that will allow you to survive the crisis and continue living. The emergency response capability of your breath operates like a highly trained medical team that can assess crisis situations instantly with diagnostic accuracy that surpasses the most advanced medical equipment, deploy appropriate healing resources immediately with response times faster than any emergency vehicle, and coordinate complex restoration processes with precision and efficiency that surpasses any external emergency intervention. Because your breath knows your body with intimate accuracy that no external observer could ever achieve, understands your healing needs with perfect clarity that no external examination could ever provide, and possesses unlimited access to life force energy that can be concentrated and applied wherever it is most urgently needed for your survival, restoration, and return to optimal health and normal function. This internal emergency response system operates with intelligence that recognizes the difference between routine healing needs and life-threatening crises, automatically shifting into emergency mode when survival is at stake, mobilizing resources that remain unavailable during ordinary circumstances, accessing power levels that transcend normal healing capabilities, and focusing that power with laser-like precision on whatever systems or organs require immediate intervention to prevent death, permanent disability, or irreversible damage that could compromise your quality of life or your capacity to function normally. When you command your breath to respond to emergency situations with maximum healing power, when you direct it to mobilize every available resource for immediate intervention, when you instruct it to coordinate whatever healing response is required for your survival and complete restoration, when you trust it to assess the crisis accurately and respond appropriately with whatever level of intervention is required to save your life, you activate emergency healing protocols that can accomplish miraculous results in impossibly short timeframes, because crisis situations call forth crisis responses from the life force that sustains you. Responses that operate beyond the limitations of ordinary healing processes and access power reserves that remain dormant except when survival itself depends upon their immediate activation. These emergency protocols exist within your breathing system, like hidden capabilities that await activation, like dormant programs that spring into action when triggered by life-threatening circumstances, like reserve power sources that remain untapped until crisis situations demand their immediate deployment for life-saving intervention that must occur within minutes or seconds to be effective in preventing tragedy and preserving life. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had experienced sudden, severe chest pain while alone in his home during an evening when no family members were present and no neighbors were nearby to assist him. Pain so intense and frightening that he knew he was likely suffering a heart attack based on symptoms he had heard described by others who had survived similar episodes, his breathing becoming labored and difficult, as if his lungs were struggling to function properly, his vision beginning to blur in ways that suggested his brain was not receiving adequate oxygen, his physical strength failing rapidly, as he realized that medical help might not arrive in time to save his life, and that he needed immediate intervention if he was going to survive this medical crisis that had struck without warning and was progressing with alarming speed. The nearest hospital was 20 minutes away under normal driving conditions. The emergency response time in his rural area was typically 15 to 20 minutes, even under the best circumstances, and he could feel his condition deteriorating with each passing moment in ways that suggested he might not survive long enough for external medical intervention to reach him, assess his condition, and provide the life-saving treatment that his situation clearly required if he was going to live through this crisis. Instead of surrendering to panic or despair, instead of accepting that his fate was beyond his control, instead of waiting helplessly for external rescue that might arrive too late to save his life, instead of allowing fear to overwhelm his capacity to think clearly and act decisively. In this moment of extreme crisis, he remembered through the clarity that sometimes emerges in life-threatening situations that his breath possessed emergency healing capabilities that could be activated through conscious command, that could respond to crisis situations with supernatural speed and power, that could intervene immediately to prevent death and restore normal function to whatever systems were failing. Drawing upon every ounce of strength and conviction he possessed, fighting against the weakness that was spreading through his body and the confusion that was clouding his thoughts, he began to command his breath with desperate intensity and absolute authority to respond to this crisis with maximum healing power, speaking to it as to a life-saving team that possessed the capability to prevent his death and restore his health through immediate emergency intervention. Breath. He commanded with every fiber of his being, with every remaining spark of his life force, with complete faith in its emergency response capabilities. I command you to stop this heart attack immediately, to restore perfect function to my heart right now, to normalize my circulation, and breathing within moments, to mobilize every healing resource at your disposal to save my life right now, to concentrate maximum life force energy into my cardiovascular system, to prevent any permanent damage to my heart muscle or circulatory system, and to stabilize my condition until this crisis has completely passed. He continued to repeat these commands with unwavering faith, despite the physical distress he was experiencing, with increasing authority, despite the weakness that threatened to overwhelm him, with absolute expectation of results. Despite the severity of his condition, while focusing all his attention on his breathing, directing it to flood his cardiovascular system with healing, energy, commanding it to restore normal heart rhythm and function, instructing it to coordinate whatever complex healing processes were required to save his life and restore him to safety and stability. Within minutes that felt like hours but passed with surprising speed, the crushing chest pain that had threatened to overwhelm him began to subside noticeably. His breathing became easier and more regular as oxygen began flowing more freely through his system. His vision cleared, and his mental confusion began to lift as his brain received adequate blood supply. His strength began to return to his limbs as circulation improved throughout his body. His heart rhythm normalized and settled into steady, reliable patterns. His circulation improved to the point where he could feel warmth returning to his extremities. By the time emergency medical personnel finally arrived, responding to a call he had managed to make during the early stages of his crisis, his vital signs had stabilized to levels that surprised the paramedics. His immediate crisis had passed completely. His color had returned to normal, and his breathing was regular and unlabored, his breath having successfully responded to emergency commands with life-saving intervention that prevented what could have been a fatal heart attack and restored his cardiovascular system to safe, stable function that amazed the medical professionals who examined him thoroughly and found no evidence of the heart attack he had clearly experienced and successfully survived through emergency breath healing that operated faster and more effectively than any external medical intervention could have provided in the critical moments when his life hung in the balance. The connection between your individual breath and the infinite reservoir of cosmic healing energy that permeates all creation, that flows through every dimension of existence, that saturates every level of reality with unlimited restoration potential, establishes your breathing system as a personal pipeline to divine restoration power. a direct link to the source of all healing that flows throughout the universe with unlimited abundance and perfect intelligence. A conscious channel through which you can draw upon healing resources that extend far beyond your individual life force to encompass the healing intention of creation itself. The restoration purpose of the divine source from which all life emerges and to which all healing prayers are directed and answered with unfailing compassion and unlimited power. This cosmic connection exists not as a distant possibility, but as a present reality, not as a theoretical concept, but as a practical healing mechanism, not as a religious belief, but as a spiritual technology that operates according to precise laws of consciousness and energy that govern the relationship between individual awareness and universal healing power, between personal intention and cosmic response, between human command and divine intervention that flows through the natural channel of conscious breathing directed toward healing purposes and restoration outcomes. The infinite reservoir from which your breath can draw healing energy operates at levels of power and intelligence that transcend all human understanding, that exceed all medical knowledge, that surpass all therapeutic approaches ever devised by human wisdom, because this cosmic healing source contains within itself the creative intelligence that designed your body in the first place, that knows every cell by name, that understands every system with perfect precision, that recognizes every healing need with complete clarity, and that possesses unlimited power to restore, regenerate, and renew every aspect of your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual being. When you speak to your breath with the understanding that it connects you to this cosmic healing network, when you recognize that your respiratory system serves as more than a biological function, but as a spiritual interface with universal healing intelligence, when you command it to open wide this channel of divine restoration, when you direct it to become a clear conduit for unlimited healing energy from the highest sources of life and health and wholeness, when you authorize it to establish and maintain perfect connection with cosmic healing frequencies that operate beyond the limitations of earthly therapeutic approaches, you transform your breathing from a merely biological function into a spiritual practice of such power and effectiveness that it can accomplish healing miracles that transcend every limitation of medical science and exceed every expectation of human possibility. This transformation occurs because your breath, when consciously connected to cosmic healing sources, no longer operates within the constraints of individual life force, but functions as a channel for unlimited universal energy that recognizes no impossibility, acknowledges no limitation, accepts no defeat, and responds to sincere healing commands with power that can overcome any condition, restore any function, regenerate any tissue, and renew any aspect of your being that requires healing attention from the highest sources of restoration energy. Your breath becomes your personal telephone line to divine headquarters, enabling instant communication with cosmic healing intelligence that responds immediately to sincere requests for assistance. Your individual internet connection to cosmic healing databases that contain the solution to every health challenge that could ever arise in human experience. Your private access code to universal restoration programs that operate with intelligence beyond human comprehension and power beyond human measurement, yet respond to human commands when those commands are spoken with sufficient faith to believe in their effectiveness, sufficient authority to expect immediate response, and sufficient expectation to activate these supernatural healing resources and direct them into your personal healing process with precision and effectiveness that produces results so remarkable they can only be described as miraculous interventions that demonstrate the unlimited power of cosmic healing energy flowings. Through conscious breathing, this cosmic connection operates 24 hours every day without interruption, without busy signals, without service outages, without technical difficulties, providing constant access to unlimited healing resources that never diminish, never become unavailable, Never fail to respond to sincere calls for healing assistance, because the cosmic healing source possesses infinite capacity to supply every healing need simultaneously, infinite intelligence to understand every healing requirement perfectly, and infinite power to accomplish every restoration goal completely. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had been battling a serious illness for months of increasing struggle and decreasing hope, her condition steadily worsening despite aggressive medical treatment administered by teams of specialists using the most advanced therapeutic approaches available to modern medicine. Her prognosis becoming increasingly grim as her body failed to respond to conventional therapies that had shown promise in clinical trials but proved ineffective for her particular case. Her physicians began to speak in terms of managing her decline rather than achieving her recovery, shifting their focus from cure to comfort care, from restoration to accommodation of progressive deterioration. Her medical team, while compassionate and skilled, had exhausted their arsenal of conventional treatments, tried every pharmaceutical approach that showed potential for her condition, explored every surgical option that offered reasonable hope of improvement, implemented every lifestyle modification that might slow the progression of her disease. Yet none of these interventions produced the healing response that she desperately needed and that her situation clearly required if she was going to survive this health crisis and return to normal life. Her hope was fading as she watched her health deteriorate week by week, her life force diminish month by month, her future prospects narrow to possibilities she had never imagined she would have to consider, her energy decreasing, her symptoms worsening, her overall condition declining despite every effort by herself and her medical team to reverse the trajectory of her illness and restore her to health and vitality. When she learned through her study of Dr. Murphy's teachings that her breath could serve as a channel for divine healing energy that operated beyond the limitations of medical intervention, when she discovered that she could command her breathing to connect her with the unlimited restoration power of the cosmic healing source that contained solutions to every health challenge, when she realized that every inhalation could draw infinite healing energy into her being from dimensions of reality where perfect health is the only possibility and complete restoration is the natural law, where illness has no power and disease has no permanence. She began to breathe with conscious awareness that she was opening herself to healing power that knew no limitation and recognized no impossibility. Understanding that her individual healing efforts needed to be connected to sources of power that transcended her personal life force, she began each day by establishing conscious connection with cosmic healing energy through deliberate breath commands that opened every channel for divine restoration power to flow through her being, with maximum effectiveness and unlimited potential for complete healing and total restoration. Breath, she would command. With growing confidence and increasing expectation of miraculous results, with expanding faith in the unlimited power of cosmic healing energy, with deepening trust in her ability to access and direct this divine restoration force, I command you to connect me to the infinite source of divine healing energy that flows throughout creation. I direct you to open every channel for cosmic restoration power to flow through my being with unlimited intensity. I instruct you to make me a clear conduit for unlimited healing from the highest sources of life and health and perfect wholeness. I authorize you to maintain this cosmic connection throughout every moment of every day, and I expect you to concentrate this divine healing energy into every aspect of my being that requires restoration, regeneration, and complete renewal. She spoke these commands not as desperate pleas, but as authoritative instructions given to a breathing system that she understood possessed the capability to establish and maintain connection with cosmic healing sources, to channel unlimited restoration energy, and to direct that energy with precision toward her complete healing and total recovery. As weeks passed with consistent practice and unwavering faith in the cosmic connection she was establishing through conscious breathing, her condition began to stabilize in ways that surprised her medical team. As months continued with deepening spiritual practice and expanding conscious connection to divine healing sources, her health began to improve beyond what her physicians had predicted possible. As her practice deepened with growing understanding of her breath's cosmic connection capabilities, her recovery accelerated beyond every medical prediction, beyond every statistical probability, beyond every conventional expectation, until her complete restoration became a testimony to the healing power that flows through conscious breath connection to the divine source. Her breathing having successfully established and maintained the cosmic connection that brought unlimited healing energy into her individual healing process and transformed what had seemed like certain decline into miraculous recovery and vibrant restoration that amazed her medical team, challenged their understanding of her particular condition, and provided them with evidence that healing could occur through mechanisms that operated beyond their current knowledge. But within the natural laws of cosmic healing energy, responding to conscious human direction through the divine pipeline of properly commanded breathing, the establishment of breath obedience as your daily spiritual practice creates a foundation for lifelong wellness that grows stronger with each conscious breath you take, in conscious partnership with your life force, deepens with each spoken command you issue with authority and expectation of obedient response, expands with each healing success. You experience through the willing cooperation of your breathing system until your breathing becomes so perfectly attuned to your healing intentions, so completely responsive to your restoration commands, so thoroughly trained in the patterns of optimal health and vitality, so expertly conditioned to maintain peak wellness as its primary function, that maintaining perfect wellness becomes as automatic as breathing itself, as natural as your heartbeat, as effortless as your cellular regeneration, as inevitable as the sunrise, because you have established a sacred partnership with your life force that ensures your continuing health, your ongoing vitality, your permanent connection to the healing power that flows through every breath you take throughout every moment of your existence. This sacred partnership transforms your relationship with your own body from passive recipient of whatever health circumstances may arise to active director of wellness outcomes, from helpless victim of genetic predispositions and environmental influences to conscious creator of optimal health conditions, from anxious observer of physical symptoms to confident commander of healing responses, establishing you as the supreme authority over your own well-being through the simple but profound practice of speaking to your breath with faith, authority, and absolute expectation of immediate and complete obedience to your healing instructions. The daily practice of breath commands transforms your breathing from an unconscious biological function that operates automatically without your awareness or direction into a conscious spiritual discipline that maintains your health at optimal levels through deliberate partnership with your life force, prevents illness before it can establish patterns in your body through proactive healing intervention, corrects imbalances before they can develop into noticeable symptoms through early detection and immediate correction, and sustains your vitality at peak performance regardless of age, stress, environmental challenges, or any other factors that might otherwise compromise your well-being, because your breath becomes trained to recognize and respond to any threat to your optimal health with immediate defensive and restorative action. This transformation occurs gradually but steadily as your breath learns to respond to your commands with increasing precision, as your confidence in its obedience grows through repeated demonstrations of its healing power, as your faith in its capabilities deepens through consistent evidence of its willingness to serve your highest good, until the partnership between your conscious intention and your breathing intelligence becomes so seamless, so automatic, so perfectly coordinated that maintaining optimal health requires no more conscious effort than maintaining normal respiration, Because your breath assumes responsibility for your wellness as its natural and primary function. Morning breath commands set the healing intention for your entire day, establishing the wellness parameters that will govern your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual experience. Throughout all the hours ahead, programming your life force with specific instructions for maintaining optimal function in every system, every organ, every tissue, every cell that comprises your being. Creating a foundation of wellness intention that supports and maintains peak performance throughout all your daily activities, regardless of stress, challenge, or environmental factors that might otherwise compromise your well-being. Afternoon breath directions maintain and strengthen the restoration processes that serve your highest good, reinforcing the morning instructions while adding specific healing focus to any areas that may have encountered stress or challenge during the day's activities. Fine-tuning your wellness systems to ensure optimal performance continues throughout the afternoon and into the evening hours, adjusting and optimizing your healing processes to address any temporary imbalances that may have arisen from the day's experiences. Evening breath instructions. Prepare your system for the profound healing work that continues throughout your sleep when your conscious mind rests. But your breathing intelligence remains active and responsive to the healing commands you have given. When your body's natural regenerative processes operate at their highest levels, when cellular repair and restoration occur most efficiently, when your entire being undergoes renewal and rejuvenation that will leave you refreshed, restored, and revitalized for the day ahead. This creates a continuous cycle of restoration that operates 24 hours daily to ensure that every aspect of your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual being remains aligned with patterns of perfect health and unlimited vitality. A seamless flow of healing intention and responsive action that never sleeps, never rests, never diminishes in its dedication to maintaining your optimal wellness, never fails to respond to your healing commands with immediate and effective action. The breath that learns obedience to your healing commands becomes your most faithful healing partner, more reliable than any external healing system, your most dependable wellness guardian, more vigilant than any monitoring device, your most effective health maintenance system, more precise than any medical intervention, responding to your directions with increasing precision and effectiveness. As your practice deepens and your understanding of breath healing principles expands, as your faith in breath healing grows stronger through repeated demonstrations of its remarkable power to create and maintain the radiant health that is your birthright and your destiny. As a conscious being capable of directing life force through conscious intention, a man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had decided to make breath healing his primary health maintenance system after witnessing its effectiveness in resolving several acute health challenges that had threatened to become chronic conditions requiring ongoing medical management. His experience with conscious breath commands having demonstrated beyond any doubt that his breathing possessed intelligence sufficient to understand complex healing instructions, capability sufficient to carry out sophisticated restoration processes, and willingness sufficient to serve his highest good with unwavering dedication, maintaining his health at levels that exceeded anything he had achieved through conventional health practices, rigorous diet and exercise programs, regular medical supervision, or any other approach to wellness he had previously employed throughout decades of seeking optimal health through external means. His previous health maintenance approaches had required constant vigilance, continuous effort, and significant time and financial investment, yet produced only moderate results that fluctuated unpredictably and required frequent adjustments, modifications, and professional consultations. While his breath healing practice required only a few minutes of conscious communication each day, yet produced consistent, reliable, and continuously improving results that surpassed anything he had previously experienced. He established a daily routine of breath commands that began each morning immediately upon awakening, with comprehensive instructions for optimal health maintenance that would govern his entire day's wellness experience. Breath. I command you to maintain every system of my body at perfect function throughout this entire day. I direct you to prevent any illness or imbalance from establishing patterns in my being. I instruct you to keep my energy levels at optimal performance that exceeds normal expectations. I order you to sustain my mental clarity and emotional balance at their highest levels, regardless of any stress or challenge I may encounter. Throughout the day, whenever he thought of it, during breaks in his activities, during quiet moments in his schedule, during transitions between tasks, he would speak brief but authoritative commands to his breath that reinforced and strengthened the morning instructions. Breath. Continue the healing work with maximum effectiveness. Maintain perfect health in every aspect of my being. Sustain optimal function in every system, every organ, every cell that requires your attention and care. Each evening before sleep, as he prepared his system for the night's restorative work, he would conclude his daily practice with gratitude for the healing work already accomplished and clear instructions for the healing work that would continue throughout the night. Breath. I thank you for maintaining my optimal health throughout this day. I command you to complete today's healing work and prepare for tomorrow's wellness. By optimizing every healing process, I direct you to maintain all restoration activities throughout the night while I sleep. I instruct you to ensure that I wake refreshed and restored to even higher levels of health and vitality than I have ever experienced before. Year after year, as he maintained this simple but powerful daily practice with unwavering faith and consistent dedication, his health remained not merely stable but continuously improving in ways that amazed his family, his friends, and his healthcare providers. His energy levels increasing rather than declining with age, defying conventional expectations about age-related vitality reduction. His physical capabilities expanding rather than contracting with the passage of time. His mental clarity sharpening rather than diminishing with the years. His overall well-being reaching levels he had never imagined possible when he relied solely on external health maintenance approaches that required significant effort but produced limited and temporary results. His breath had become so perfectly trained in maintaining his optimal health through years of consistent commands and faithful obedience that wellness became his natural state, vitality became his normal experience, and radiant health became his permanent reality through the daily practice of breath obedience that transformed his breathing into the most powerful health insurance policy ever created and the most reliable wellness guarantee ever established, surpassing any external health maintenance system in effectiveness, reliability, and cost-effectiveness. This same transformative power is available to you at this very moment through the same breath that flows through you now, carrying the same healing potential, waiting for the same authoritative commands, ready to respond to your conscious direction with the same healing power that has restored countless others to perfect health and can restore you to levels of wellness, vitality, and life force that will amaze and delight you when you begin today to speak to your breath. With the faith, authority, and expectation that conscious breath healing requires and deserves, when you establish the sacred partnership that will serve you faithfully throughout your entire lifetime of radiant health and unlimited vitality.